Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by UFC Lightweight Shane Roller. Shane, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Shane, I wanted to talk a little bit about your last fight against John Alessio. You won the fight by decision. How did you feel about your performance in the fight?
I felt good. You know, anytime you get a win in the UFC, it's a good thing. And I had a 3-fight slide, so definitely looking for the victory. And but I always like to finish people, and it just didn't happen that night. So I'm not satisfied by my performance at all, but happy to come away with the victory.
That night, both you and John, were fighting for a spot still with the UFC. You're both fighting for a job that night. And after the fight, he was frustrated. He yelled something at you. What did he say to you?
I really couldn't even tell you. I think he was saying something about let him up.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want me to hold him on the ground no more. He wanted to get up.
Mm-hmm. Were you surprised that John Alessio? He's been in the game for a long time. He should know by now that this is a sport. You had to do what you had to do. You took him down. It's part of the game. If you don't like being on the ground, get back up. Were you surprised that he was that frustrated?
I'm not really surprised. It didn't affect me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept doing what I was doing, but he just got frustrated. I'm sure he knew that he was losing the fight, and he knew he was going to lose if he didn't get up, and he couldn't get up, so he got real frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Now, Shane, looking forward, you got a fight September 1st at UFC 151. How's training been going for the fight?
It's been going great.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it, man. Anytime I get the opportunity to hop back in there, it's kind of coming off not short notice, but coming off my quickest turnaround in between UFC fights. But I was ready and excited when they gave me the call, so I'm excited to get back in there.
Have you gone elsewhere to train, or have you just done your basic training with the regular guys that you do training with? You haven't gone somewhere else to do, you get some different looks, or have you just stayed at home?
I just stayed at home, but
Mm-hmm.
that being said, my last fight was the first fight that I moved away from. I was training in Dallas, so a team takedown, and I moved away from them and came closer to my hometown and started training with some UFC vets, Gerald Harris and Daniel Roberts, and a professional boxer, Alan Green, and it's been going really well. And I just stayed here for this camp.
How many times a day do you train when you're preparing for a fight compared to when you're just going around your regular routine?
I usually train twice a day, regardless, both ways. The only thing that changes is just the intensity and my diet changes quite a bit, and just the focus. The focus goes towards me a lot more, and I think it's great that way.
When you have a fight coming up, are you solely focused on your opponent? How do you train when you're preparing for a fight? You just solely prepare for your opponent, and when you don't have a fight coming up, then you start to work in new techniques?
Yeah, I mean, once I get a fight coming up, I don't do that many new techniques unless it's something for the fight.
Right.
If someone tells me, hey, this works for this situation that he likes to do a lot, then I work that technique. But I don't go out looking for a lot of things to learn new during a fight camp. But when I'm just training regular, like you said, I do pick up some new things, and I like to try them out. But I don't just train focused directly on the fighter himself, because he could pick something up new too and come out with something completely different than what I've been focusing on for 6 to 8 weeks,
right.
And it kind of changed things up. So you got to train in all positions. Like Volkman's a good grappler, and obviously not training a lot of grappling for this fight, but it could be a stand-up war, so you still got to train that too. So there's no really just specialists anymore like there used to be. Everybody's pretty well-rounded, so you got to be prepared in all aspects of the sport.
Is this the last week of hard training, or was last week the last week of hard training?
I got a couple more days left. I'm going to go Thursday and Friday, and then start tapering down.
And when will you start your weight cut, or has that already begun?
I don't really start even cutting until a couple of days. Well, once I get out to Vegas, I just eat healthy, clean, and drink lots of water. And once I get out there, then I start worrying about what my weight is. Right now, I just drink as much, eat as much as I want. Just make sure it's healthy stuff.
Will it be a gradual weight drop? Will you go, 4 pounds here, 3 pounds there, till you get down to your target weight, or will you just, cut it all at one specific time?
I've been walking around a lot lighter than what I usually used to walk around at, and my last fight I did that also, and it was the easiest weight cut I ever had. I woke up the morning of and only had to lose like 2.5 pounds, and always before, I usually cut 3 or 4 the day before, and then about 5 the day of weigh-ins, and so it was really easy for me last time, and I'm thinking that's kind of going to be how it is this time, because my weight is lower, not on the same pace as it was before my Alessio fight.
And now your opponent, Jacob Volkman, what are your thoughts about him?
He's a tough guy. He's anybody with a record. He's been in the UFC. I don't know how many fights he's had in the UFC, but he's been there a long time, and his record's 14-3. So he's very good. Knows how to get the wins. He's a grinder, and he's a good grappler. So and obviously he was a good wrestler in college.
Usually when we see two good wrestlers go against each other, it turns into a lot of striking. Do you see that kind of where the fight's going, or do you think that, we'll see a little bit of everything? We'll see some striking, we'll see a bit of wrestling, submission attempts. Where do you see the fight going?
I think you'll see everything. He don't like to stand too much. He definitely likes to be looking for the takedown a lot, and I've been growing comfortable in my hands, so I've been liking to stand some, but when I'm ready, I'll go for the takedown and take it to the mat. But any of my fights, it doesn't matter who I'm fighting against. I feel like that's what my greatest advantage is once we're on the ground.
Do you feel that in this fight you're going to be using your wrestling more as to keep the fight on the feet, or do you see no problem with going to the ground with him?
No, I'm not scared to go to the ground with him. He's that's where he's good at, but that's where I like to be too. So whoever's better in that position, I think will come out with a victory that night.
And Shane, your last fight was a win. Before that, you had 3 losses in a row. Even though you got the win against John Alessio, do you feel that there's still that pressure on you? I mean, yes, you're fighting in the UFC. There's always going to be pressure, but a loss here doesn't really do you any favors. So do you still feel that pressure being on you?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you fight in the UFC, there's pressure. I don't approach any fight different. My last fight, I knew if I lost, it was going to more than likely I was going to be cut. But the 3 fights before that too, I take every fight. My first fight in the UFC, I think in every fight in there, it's a no lose situation. You got to win, and that's how I always approach all my fights. I don't go in there and think, if I lose this fight, I'll still keep me around. I'm going in there to win, and that's one mindset I take to a fight.
Now, Shane, a couple questions I wanted to end on. The first one being, why don't you have a nickname? A lot of fighters these days, they've got all these wacky nicknames. Why don't you have a nickname? And was there anything that maybe a friend or your dad or somebody called you when you were growing up, something like that?
No, not really. Just nothing ever stuck. We never started out with a nickname, and haven't got one since. So there's no really any explanation behind it. We just never came up with one.
Nobody ever tried to give you like Steamroller or something like that? No, never.
Yeah, I mean, I did Junkie a few times and some other radio interviews, and they'd call me in and try to make up a nickname for me.
Oh, I see.
Nothing ever stuck.
And then I was looking at your UFC bio, and they asked you on the little questionnaire thing, what was your last job before you started fighting? And you said it was an assistant wrestling coach at Oklahoma State. Did you ever work a regular job?
You're cutting in and out on me a little bit, but I believe you asked if I worked anything besides coaching wrestling.
Yeah.
And I did. I built some houses for like 3 years. My last year that I was coaching, I was a grad assistant up at OSU, and also, I built, I think, 5 houses up there, so I'm doing pretty well at it. So it's kind of hard to go to my wife after I've been out of wrestling, competing for 3 years, and going, I think it was 4 years actually, and going and telling her that I wanted to get into fighting after I had been doing pretty well building homes. But she supported me 100% as well as my family did, my parents, and I've enjoyed it and I loved it, and I'd always wonder what if I didn't ever make that move. So that's why I made the move, and I love it. You know, I'm still fighting the UFC, the best organization there is, and it's been a blast.
Mm-hmm. Shane, one final thing before I let you go. Do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just say you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook, and just be ready. I think my fight's on Facebook this UFC 151, and I'm going to bring it. Shane,
thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck September 1st at UFC 151 against Jacob Volkman.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me on.